Oh, welcome everybody to Wager Talk today. It's Friday and we've got a great lineup of actionable information. This is a betting show. We're going to talk how to bet the Genesis Invitational. And we'll also have a bare knuckles fighting bet for you guys. Yes, you heard that correct. Andy Lang on first, Gianni, the Greek, on second. He's got 2 UFC bets for us. Plus, I'll weasel a whole lot of other information out of him. And Andrew McInnis at the end of the show, he is looking at an NHL bet. Steve Merrill will be my co-host today. Andy Lang, the first guest. Let's get started right away. Andy, how are you, my friend? Welcome back. Always a pleasure having you on with me today.
Yeah, great to be on. It is a fantastic weekend. A lot of great plays today. We got a Tiger Woods prop that is up. We've got lacrosse. We've got bare knuckle fighting, which I'm telling you, bare knuckle fighting in a couple years is going to be one of the next big things. Like we hit our first official Wager Talk bare knuckle play last weekend. I've been betting it for about 6 months. Very, very profitable. So I'm happy to talk about it and break down a couple of these fights.
Do they get? Go ahead, Steve.
Prez, I got to be honest. This is one of the most excited segments I've ever had. We're talking bare knuckle fighting. I saw that in the rundown, and yeah, that's all I can say.
Well, hey, Tokyo Brandon put up a tweet last night or this morning that said, would you rather lose money watching your favorite team play on TV or win money watching nothing? I'm going with winning money. So if we've got a bare knuckle fighting bet that will win us money, I'm all about that. I mean, do you know how bad a spectator sport watching your mutual funds and stock portfolio is? Like, I don't think it gets more boring than that. I do. I sit there for 3 hours a day just hitting refresh. But most people find watching their stock portfolio very boring. So what does that prove, Steve?
Well, Prez, it's a great segue. I'm going to have a bettors learned here after Andy's segment before we get to Gianni, and it's going to be about that long-term versus short-term, and I have some takes on that as well, that people get what they want to get. So we'll save it for that segment, but I love what you're saying there. I'm going to expand on that here in a couple minutes. Andy, we're going to talk some golf. First, though, NASCAR starts this weekend as well, Daytona 500. Of course, Formula One around the corner. The non-basketball sports can still make you a lot of money. What's something you're looking at here in the golf this weekend?
Yeah, so this is a round 2 play. This is great for everyone watching live because this goes off a little bit. It's around 1:30, but it's Ben On versus Sung Jae Im head-to-head, and I love what I'm seeing from Ben On, and I'm not liking what I'm seeing from Sung Jae Im. So we got a golfer that I want to bet on, and we got a golfer I want to bet against. First off, there's something wrong with Sung Jae Im. He's not playing like his normal self. I mean, this guy's one of the best in the world. And he started off the year finishing 5th and 25th, and the last 3 tournaments, he's just really, really struggled. There's missed cut, there's 66th, and a 66th. Those are his last 3 finishes. And yesterday, he was all out of sorts. 35% driving accuracy, almost last in driving distance. So he was not hitting the ball long, and it was not accurate. That, to me, says some kind of injury, some kind of hiccup in his swing. He was 43rd out of 71 golfers in approach. He only had 3 birdies, a bogey, and a double bogey. Something isn't right with him. He's a fade right now. And Ben On, kind of the exact opposite. 6 birdies and an eagle yesterday. He threw in 4 bogeys, but he was 4 shots better than Sung Jae Im. 4th in driving distance. He drove the ball almost 50 yards longer on average than Sung Jae Im. He was 13 in approach accuracy as well. So, again, something is not right with Sung Jae Im. Miscut 66 is terrible for him. Tells me there's an injury of some sort. So Sung Jae Im is a fade moving forward.
All right, Andy, I've got a follow-up for you. It's not about golf, though. Let's see if you get this answer right. What do you, Prez, and myself, Steve Merrill, all have in common when it comes to hosting a Wager Talk show? I don't know if you'll get this one or not.
Oh, man. What do we all have in common? I have no idea.
We have all hosted Life in the Fast Lane at some point.
Oh my God.
NASCAR.
Oh my God.
Prez, all seriousness, I've
to
thank
hosted
you
every
because
show.
you've done every show at
The
least
very
once.
first show.
I know you only did NASCAR once. That's a fact. That's a fact,
Yeah.
Jack.
You remember
But,
that? I didn't know what the hell we were talking about, but I did recently watch the 6-episode NASCAR Full Speed.
Oh, is that out?
Yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it. I learned a lot about NASCAR. I asked myself, I mean, this is totally off topic, but who are the best drivers in the world? Is it the ones that are going the fastest in F1, or is it the ones that are a hair away from 17 other opponents at 200 miles an hour? I was floored by how dangerous that looked and how precise you have to be. It was, I mean, it was impressive. Look, it's not as, I loved Need for Speed or whatever it was called, the Formula One show, and I still couldn't watch a race. And I loved the NASCAR show, and I still can't watch a race. But I was floored. I mean, these guys are drafting. I mean, credit cards could be stuck between these cars. So who are the better drivers?
Yeah, it's interesting because I think people think skill wise, Andy, that it's Formula One, but I think Prez brings up a good point. You know, there's a lot of rubbing, there's racing, there's more contact. It's a harder car to drive. I mean, the Formula One car is cut on a dime. The steering, that's why they can do road courses like Vegas. You know, it'd be very hard for NASCAR to do a road course like in the Vegas Strip, I think. Two reasons I brought it up, though, real quick, and we'll get to the bare knuckle fighting, which you know I want to get to, is first of all, Prez, I got to thank you because had you not hosted that first show, you maybe don't reach out to me and have me do the rest of them. First WagerTalk TV I did along with Andy, and the rest is history, as they say. But Andy, unfortunately, the NASCAR show is history. I've had some people reaching out the past week or two asking if there'd be any NASCAR content. So I know last year you focused more Formula One. Just wanted to get your quick thoughts on what your auto strategy is this spring for the clients.
Formula One was fantastic last year, and it's more predictable of a sport. And that's what I'm looking at in sports betting. That's why I'm gravitating towards bare knuckle. It's predictable. I want the profits. I want the easier spots. So when you get NASCAR, you get a lot of wrecks, as you know, Steve. You get pit stop strategies. They've got some new cars this year with some new looks. And when I go over to Formula One, I got a pretty good idea of who's going to do well and what position they're going to finish in. So I will be betting-wise Formula One focused because that's where the profits are at. If I find good spots in NASCAR, yeah, we'll fire away. But you know, the Daytona 500, as you know, Steve, it's a super speedway. It's kind of unbettable. There's no way you can predict the wrecks. So I'm not in the business of putting out plays just because it's the Daytona 500. I'm in the business of putting out plays that clients can profit off of. That's why you'll see me do some of the more obscure sports.
Andy Lang joining us, everyone. And hey, bare knuckle fighting ain't obscure. It happens in the schoolyard every day all over the world.
A bar near you.
Yeah, exactly. Andy, Cameron Van Camp is fighting Mika Terrell. The world famous Mika Terrell, almost unbeatable, just had an incredible championship run to date. Very impressed with both his left and his right.
Isn't that
He
Micah?
is minus 192. I feel like there's a lot of weaknesses from Cameron. He doesn't hold his hands up high enough, and he
Not
does.
true.
I'm making this shit up, dude.
I think
It's
world
not true.
famous he mispronounced. I think it's Micah.
He holds his
I have
hands
a
up
friend
just
named
fine.
Micah.
I'm making this shit up, bro. I want to
This is
sound
world famous
intelligent.
Micah Terrell.
Okay, go.
Micah.
All right, let's talk bare knuckle fighting championship. And first off, I just why am I starting to talk more about this? Because you get these incredible mismatches in bare knuckle. Like when we're watching UFC, a lot of these guys are just so evenly matched. Sometimes it can be tough. In bare knuckle, they are pulling some of these fighters out of nowhere just to try and fill a card, and that gives us great betting opportunities. It's also insanity, absolute insanity. The comedic value and the entertainment value cannot be beat. Last event 2 weeks ago, and I'm not making this up, they did weigh-ins on Thursday. One of the fights got canceled because after weigh-ins, one of the fighters got arrested for going out and selling fentanyl. You're only going to get that at Bare Knuckle Championship. They lost a fight because a guy was in jail. So that's the kind of people that we're dealing with. So let's take a look at this particular fight. So Cameron Van Camp had a little stint in the UFC. It did not go well. He's not a UFC caliber fighter. He had a bare knuckle fighting match after UFC. It was a few months ago. He lost, but it went to decision, went all 5 rounds. He showed really good cardio. And the guy he was fighting is a bare knuckle veteran. The guy he lost to was really good. And Cameron Van Camp did damage. That was his debut at bare knuckle. So I get a guy who showed really, really good stamina, good power. His boxing stance looked really, really good. And I think bare knuckle wants this guy to succeed. So they're putting him up against Mike Otero. Mike Otero's 40 years old. This guy is an MMA specialist. He has done 3 exhibition boxing matches in his career. The combined record of his opponents are 0-7. And the other crazy thing is, in a few weeks, he's got an MMA match already booked on the Shogun series. So he's going to take this fight as a quick little paycheck. And the key thing is here, the last thing he can do in this fight is get hurt. He cannot break his hand. He cannot get a big cut, or he's out of the MMA fight, which is the series that pays him. This is going to be one of those quick fights where Cameron Van Camp gets a nice win on the Prospect Series, and Mike Otero is a 40-year-old journeyman just collecting paycheck from paycheck. It would not surprise me in the slightest if he gets hit a few times, takes a knee, takes his check, and moves on to MMA. This is his debut in a bare-knuckle boxing match against the guy who's done it before. It's Cameron Van Camp all day long in this matchup.
How much do these guys get paid?
That's the other thing about bare knuckle. They've got money. You've seen some UFC veterans go over there and get paid really, really well. John Dotson is one of the champs there. There's a slew of these guys that are going over there. Bare knuckle is going to be around for a long time. They just announced some more shows. One of them's in California. They've been up to Canada. You're going to see bare knuckle popping up on all of the sports books sooner rather than later. This reminds me of when UFC was kind of becoming popular, and it was like, what is this sport? Like, who are these guys? Yeah. Why are there mismatches all over the place? It's a gettable sport.
Andy, I have so many questions, but to be bluntly honest, I don't think a whole lot of people in the chat care. One of the guys said, where the hell can you even make these bets? So that's my follow-up question. Where the hell can you make these bets?
There are a couple. I mean, Bet Online, that's one of the biggest offshores of the world. They have all of the lines up. BetUS has them up. Those are the lines that I pull from. And listen, people may not care now. In a year, I'm telling you, people are going to care when we have a winning record. The profits all spend the same.
There you go. Andy Lang, are you kidding me? He's ahead of the game. What do you got to promote?
We got a Tiger Woods prop that is up. He tees off in a few hours. And huge weekend for lacrosse. We've got UFC. We've got golf. We've got tennis. The lacrosse is what I'm most excited about. We put one pack with our official WagerTalk bare knuckle play with lacrosse. This has got to be the first time that there's a lacrosse and bare knuckle fighting
Andy,
pack.
Just to jump in, I logged on to the show today a little late, and you and Dan were having a conversation. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Dan, who knows his lacrosse, said that this is one of his favorite plays of the year or something like that.
Yeah, we got his favorite play of the year. There's 3 plays up there, a 4%, 2 3% plays. It's going to be a really, really nice Friday and a nice Saturday and an even better Sunday. So there's a lot of profits to be made this weekend.
There we go. Andy Lang, everybody. Okay, Steve Merrill, now that bare knuckle fighting has been moved on, and I have so many, I want to do a whole show on bare knuckle fighting, but maybe we'll get some bare knuckle fighting info from Gianni. What did we learn in the wonderful world of sports betting?
Yeah, by the way, Prez, I just checked DraftKings. They do have it up on DraftKings, so that's a pretty big book for most people. In fact, the play Andy just gave is minus 198 on DraftKings, so it's almost exactly the line he was using. I'm checking FanDuel as we speak. Doesn't look like they have it, but I'm not looking too deep because we're going to do what bettors learn. So what bettors learned is that DraftKings does have bare knuckle fighting. Back to you, Prez. No. Segment here I think is very important. Let's archive this segment because it's something that came to mind yesterday evening, and then when you asked me to guest host, thought it was the perfect time to talk about this topic. And I'm going to call this long-term versus short-term perspective, long-term versus short-term thinking, however you want to phrase it. You can talk about the financial market, sports betting, they go hand in hand. But it came to my attention yesterday because, as you all know, I've had a great basketball season. I'm ranked number one in college and pro basketball side since the season began in October. Had a 2-0 sweep on Monday. I was on the show here on Tuesday talking about my first and only 5% play of the season, and it won. Providence was up by 7, got close. They won by 3. They covered. I didn't watch a single minute of the game. In fact, I wasn't even home for the 2 hours the game was taking place. Didn't even think about the game. Johnny Detroit was sweating for me. He gave me the result before I even saw it. And so that's just how I roll. And I think, Prez, you do the same. It's a nice quality of life, and I highly recommend it. But a lot of people out there, you said everyone wants to win. And I think everyone thinks they want to win, but I'm not sure that's really the case. Because if everyone wanted to win, they wouldn't be doing what a lot of people do. And that's the short-term perspective. And the reason this came to play is because after winning Tuesday, going 3-0 for Monday and Tuesday combined, up 13% on the 3 plays, we had an 0-2 night on Wednesday. Chicken Little, the sky's falling. Numerous people, man, we got to bounce back, Steve. Rough night. I'm thinking, all right, we're still 77-53 on the season. And then yesterday, before the games tip off, I see some more messages. If he has another 0-2 night, he's going to start feeling it from his clients. And I'm thinking, really? We're still 3-2 on the week. That'd make us 3-4. What did we do last night? Well, we went 2-0 again. So I've swept the board 3 of the 4 nights this week. We're now 5-2 this week. But that doesn't matter. I don't even talk about that normally because that is still short-term thinking. You have to decide out there if you really want to win. And I know everyone's going to raise their hand. 99% of you probably raise their hand and say, yeah, I want to win. But if you want to win, you don't live and die by daily results. More importantly, you don't live and die by single possessions in a game. Prez, you reference checking your portfolio throughout the day and every single tick of the stock market. It goes up, it goes down, it goes up, it goes down. That's how basketball games go. I'm glad I didn't watch that game Tuesday night. We had the right side. St. John's had 14 offensive rebounds. They still didn't cover. I don't feel like it was the wrong side there. And by the way, there were 4 other games I gave out for free on the network. They all won as well on various shows. I think I went 5-1 overall in the free plays and the best bet. Lots of different ways to play. There's nothing wrong with having this as a recreational form of entertainment. If you win or lose, that's great. But living and dying by the single-day results is not the way to go. I've been doing this now for over 28 years. I'm 50. I've been doing it for more than half my life. And one day, 1 week, 1 month, even 1 year is not going to make the difference. I've won consistently since 1996 as a professional handicapper. If you want to get on board, you're going to win consistently as well. We're number 1 this year in hoops, as I said. Number 1 in all sports sides combined in 2022 and 23 at WagerTalk. I release about 2 plays a day on average. It's a consistent investment approach. But I think a lot of people out there want that thrill. They want that rush. Nothing wrong with that. And I'll leave it at this. One of the other people last night after the 2-0 sweep, great night, Steve. That's always a red flag for me, too. Hey, I don't mind you saying great night, whatever. But people that celebrate a 2-0 night are the ones that also get emotionally low on a 0-2 night. And the guy tweeted his ticket, $250 bet, and then a 5-team parlay with one of my plays mixed in. Once again, that's not a serious long-term investment approach. If you're having fun, that's fine. But you have to decide if you want to win because the method, the tools are there to do so. But once again, it's up to you. I can't go and hold your hand on a daily and nightly basis. Just something I wanted to point out. Long-term versus short-term perspective. The ball is up to you. It's in your court.
I mean, Steve, look, Gianni's on his way in 2 seconds, and he's going to for sure have stuff to add to this conversation. I think really the biggest takeaway from what you said is that people don't even want to win. And that has been proven over and over again. I mean, Big Daddy, who is one of our best listeners. I mean, he's in this chat room every single day. He writes, in regards to bare knuckle fighting, I would never bet that sport. That's just me. Big Daddy, name every stock in your mutual fund. You couldn't do it. You have absolutely no idea if you've got a financial advisor. You have absolutely no idea where all your money is. And nor do you care because you trust your financial advisor. These guys walk into a casino. Steve, I always used to say, imagine if you set up a blackjack table outside of your house and like on your driveway and you had a big sign, come play blackjack against me. I have a 54% chance of beating you. Come put your money down. And then people get out of the car and they're like, oh my God, I have a 46% chance of winning money. I'm so in. Come play roulette where you're almost guaranteed to lose all your money. And we walk into the casino and these tables are packed. And not only are they, when was the last time you tipped your stockbroker? Never. Yet you'll sit down at a blackjack table, almost guaranteed to lose your money. And on the way to zero, you're actually tipping the dealer. So, dude, I'm with you, man. I'm with you.
Yeah, Prez.
You're so right.
I thought of this analogy laying in bed this morning when I woke up because I wanted to do this segment and so many other things I forgot to say. But I came up with this analogy. Tell me if you like it or not. Would you rather be the casino or the tourist? I thought of this for some reason. Here's what I picture. I picture the casino like you just laid out with all the blackjack tables and a 1% to 2% long-term mathematical edge if they get enough volume versus the tourist. I picture a guy walking in with a fanny pack, Bermuda shorts, sunglasses, and that white cream on his nose, throwing down $100 and he plays until his bankroll's gone. That's short-term versus long-term, right? The casino is a long-term perspective. They're taking a small edge and they're grinding it out. What do you want to be, the tourist or the casino? And a lot of people, Prez, as you just said, want to be the tourist. There's nothing wrong with that. Just be honest with yourself, though.
Steve, we got to bring Gianni in, but really quick. I go to Vegas 4 to 6 times a year. I've never been comped in my life. I wear that as a badge of honor. Gianni, don't let this man play blackjack in your driveway. This boy has been kicked out of casinos.
I saw the video a few months ago, Gianni, when you were just killing time at the blackjack table.
I just came back from Tampa. I was there for 9 days, Prez. I swear to God. The first 4, I was there for a seminar. The last 4, I was there, for a vacation at Seminole Hard Rock. And I had to stay an extra day because when at the last day, I gave the chick the tickets. I said, you go to the sportsbook, cash the tickets. I'll go to the cage, cash the checks, and we'll meet back at the room and chop it up. So she went to the sportsbook. I went to the cage to cash the checks. She's like, nah, I can't cash these. You got to go back to the high limit pit and get the okay from them. Dude, I went back to high limit. They wouldn't cash my checks because I played at night and it was the day shift. They had to go back and rewind 4 days of surveillance to prove that I played because I didn't get rated. I refused to get rated.
Yeah.
And that was the issue. They want you to get rated so badly so they know who you are and everything.
Exactly.
They just created a bunch of problems.
Gianni,
Wow.
Gianni, the occasional time I sit down at a gambling table, it's usually Pie Gal. I'm usually just sitting there wasting my time because my friends want to drink for free and lose their money. I never give my name. I never give a card.
Good.
No freaking chance. If you're
That's
getting
what I said. I'll
comped
pay for my own room and food. I don't need you guys to pay for it.
if you're getting comped at a casino, the joke is on you.
It's on you. Yep.
So Gianni, we got 2 UFC bets we want to talk about, but before we get into that, look, you got to explain something to me, bro. I mean, I truly, and I say this in all sincerity, I truly believe that you are one of the wisest bettors I've ever met in my life. Not only that, but you are a well-rounded investor. You understand the markets. You are extremely savvy, and I mean that sincerely. A month ago, you got on the show and told us you were shorting Bitcoin. I didn't tell you this, but it happened to be within a day or two of me telling everyone to buy Bitcoin. Since then, Bitcoin has gone up about $23,000. Is your short longer than this period? Explain, or was it just, and you can be wrong. I mean, even Tom Brady threw an interception. Can you explain, were you wrong, or is this a long-term short?
Oh, no. I'm the furthest thing from wrong. I'm so confident that my position's correct that I actually just added to my short 2 nights ago at 52.7.
Nice.
Nothing goes straight up in a line, Prez. That's the thing. I believe in the future of Bitcoin. I know where technology's going, and I know where this generation is going. But with all that said, there's going to be peaks and valleys in any cycle, in any market. And we're seeing that right now. I just shorted SMCI this morning at $1,000. And you know why I did it? Because I heard a guy say that he took out a $10,000 loan to buy SMCI. Why? Because if you bought SMCI about 3 months ago, you're now about 5x up on your money. This guy's buying it after it went up 500%. What are you doing? Like, are you hoping that it's just going to go up 1,000%? Like, was it that undervalued for that long that they're just going to like throw money at you? To me, I've learned to not be biased and be realistic. And as badly as I want something to go straight up in a line so I could get rich, I know that's not the case. So I learned to trade because I got burned. I was that guy holding Bitcoin at 69,000, expecting it to go to the moon. I was that guy who was believing Michael Saylor that it's going to go to 100,000, 200,000, 300,000. Well, we saw what it did. It went from 69,000 down to 15,000. Why? Because that's what markets do. That's how cycles work. And if you expect that this cycle going from 20,000, Bitcoin's going to ride up to 200, 300, 400,000 without it coming back, it's the same mindset I saw in 2020. And the same people are going to get burned. The ones that are buying it late, the ones that bought at 20,000 and 25,000, they're going to make a ton of money. The ones that bought at 45 and 50, in about 3 to 6 months, they're going to realize all those wannabe gains are gone. Believe me, after the election, the economy will start to decline. It's going to get better after that for a couple of years. Then the damage comes in towards the end of the decade. But with that said, it's not going to be very pretty after the next 6 to 8 months when all the layoffs happen. And the first equity, the first commodity that's going to get drained is Bitcoin. That's where all the liquidity is. That's where all the liquidity is going to come out. They're not going to sell their gold. They're not going to sell their real estate. They're not going to sell their Apple stock. They're going to sell their Bitcoin. That's the easiest thing for them to dump. And that's exactly why the crypto market goes up and down. That's why there's so much volatility.
So what
I
I'm
hope
hearing,
you get rich. You should have a holding portfolio and a trading portfolio. That's it. That's how you should approach crypto, I believe. But again, whatever works for you.
Firstly, I'm already rich. And secondly, let's get into some UFC. Gianni, what I heard from you there is get as much liquidity as you can, and in 6 months from now, when Bitcoin tanks, buy.
Exactly. That's what I've been doing. Building cash. I have a huge cash reserve, and I'm waiting to back up the truck. I'm in no rush. I've seen this cycle now. I got burned through the last one. You have to go through it to learn. You got to go through it to learn, like any other market.
Okay, brother, you got 2 UFC bets for us.
Yes, sir.
Anthony Hernandez minus 250 is one of them.
Yes.
Let's focus on that for now.
This is the strongest pick, and I'm telling you now, you know me historically, I'm not going to lay 250 when a line opened minus 150. But the bottom line is this one that opened minus 150 got shot up to 225 within 5 minutes. So immediately, Hernandez was undervalued. No surprise, he's continued to be undervalued in the betting market, even though he's won 4 straight and 5 of his last 6. He just doesn't get that respect from the market, but he does from the wise guys. And it's the perfect storm because he's fighting a couple of who's coming in off 4 straight losses. But you zoom out a little bit further, and what are you going to find? A weak strength of schedule. In fact, he started off 0-2 in the UFC, and then they started giving him easier fights because he had a good name. And his opponents that he beat are a combined 10-11. They haven't even won 50% of their fights. So this 4-fight win streak is as phony as a $3 bill. Take Hernandez, lay the 250 comfortably. I know it sounds expensive, but you should be laying 350. This is about 8 out of 10 times Hernandez gets the win in this fight. So that's why I love laying it. And real quickly, in the next fight, I know we're going to talk about Rogerio de Lima, but that just got canceled about 3 minutes ago before I jumped on. So I have other stuff to share. Just wanted to throw that out there.
Steven?
Thank you, Ace. I was just looking that up. I didn't know it had been canceled. So I was going to say, give me something on the preliminary card. But let's talk about, if you want to talk about something, by the way, it's UFC 298. So it's a big event this weekend. But also wanted to promo your Steam Room free promo as well for tonight on Friday. So wherever you want to go, floor is yours.
Yeah, let's talk about, Gianni, let's talk about the Steam Room because this is one of the best things we offer. You give up your time to do it every day. It's free to everybody tonight. How do they get it? Where?
Gotta be
What
there.
time?
You got to
to
be
me.
there. Go to WagerTalk on social media. Go to @Greek_Gambler on social media. The links are available. This is the week you want to be in there because I've gotten my ass kicked. This is what I love about this subscription, that I have to go in there every week and face my subscribers off a winning week and off a losing week. And I get to talk about the last couple months and also the last year. So we're going to cover everything and talk about the blueprint moving forward. Because until you learn how to handle losses, I can never help you win. And that's exactly what the Steam Room is for. So please, if you're ever going to spend a couple minutes with us, tonight's the night to do it. Because we're not going to waste time celebrating, because there's nothing to celebrate. I lost in the Super Bowl, and I've had a pretty crummy week so far. Still up for 2024, but we are in that negative variance right now. It's 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific time. It'll probably last 30, 40, 60 minutes max, and I'm going to share as much information as possible. And any live bets that are coming in, we will be firing throughout the Steam Room, and I'll give you all the UFC stuff that I have for Saturday as well. And real quickly, I'll share them because since Rogerio de Lima has been canceled, you want to look at Zhang Mingyang, light heavyweight at -120. Anything less than -150, it's the side. And in the main event, I know everybody leans Volkanovski. I like the dog Topuria. And finally, college basketball. I just got these. Haven't confirmed anything, but I did bet 871 over 158.5 Harvard, 877 over 145.5 VCU, 883 over 146.5 Manhattan, 893 over 160 Ohio. Whether you follow, fade, or ignore, there's the information. I just hope you cash them. I'm going to make my money year after year. I'd love everyone else to do the same.
Gianni, every week, I'm buying small amounts, but again, deep respect for you. I have a stockpile of platinum. Thoughts?
Wow, good move. Good move. I just bought some lithium. I bought a shitload of lithium that's already ahead because everybody's talking about the death of EV and all that. No, we don't need the batteries no more and all that nonsense. Are you kidding me? They've already made that decision a long time ago of where it's heading. So to me, I just saw the discount. I love your platinum precious metals over the next 5 to 6 years. By the end of the decade, anyone holding precious metals, you will have done yourself the biggest favor. Because trust me, the 100-year cycle is about to come up. That's 2029. Remember what happened in 1929? It wasn't pretty. And what's going to fly higher than anything are commodities. You want to own real estate, you want to own precious metals, and you want to own art. Those kind of things are what's going to go through the roof when everything hits the fan. Because the bottom line is we can't afford our debt. The fiat currency, the dollar, will start to collapse. You just can't defend that. It's impossible. You can't print forever. That's been proven by multiple countries that have done this same experiment.
Yeah, look, I
guys,
love this conversation, Steve.
I was going to say real quick, there was a 30-year bond auction that did not even fill a couple of weeks ago. All of them weren't bought up, which doesn't happen often. And that's because the 30 years about 4.5%, the 2 years like 5.5%. And the bigger picture is you can also make the argument that people think money's going to be worth less 10, 20 years from now. They're not locking up 4.3% right now. So that's another reason why the writing is kind of on the wall if you dig a little bit deeper. The bond market usually knows more than anybody.
Gold, baby. Buy gold. That's what
Gianni,
what the banks have been doing.
Gianni, you mentioned gold, and the reason I chose platinum, and I did it 2 years ago. So to give you perspective, I've been buying an ounce of platinum, maybe once every 2 weeks for the last 3 years.
Good for you, Prez. Good
so I mean, I have a safety deposit box of physical platinum.
You're set. And I know you're already comfortable, but I promise you, in the next 5 years, that is the best investment you could have made, brother. The best you could have made.
So I want to tell you why platinum over gold, everybody, and you guys can jump in. Look, I think this is a fascinating convo. I know we're a betting show, but man, like if you people aren't enjoying this conversation, bugger off.
The reason All-Star break, it's the perfect time.
The reason I chose Gianni, the reason I chose look, I'm still kicking myself for missing the rhodium move, but and rhodium was like ridiculous. the reason I chose platinum is in the history of civilization, platinum is further off of gold than it's ever been. They link it together, right?
Yeah.
They link it together.
The price is ratioed. Silver, gold, platinum, correct.
So platinum is at its lowest value in history against gold.
In comparison to gold? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So you're getting it at the best time, too.
Yeah.
That's the move, bro. Keep doing it. Don't listen to anyone. Not me, not anyone. Trust your instinct. It's obviously been right, and you will be rewarded for having the guts to do it and tucking it away and thinking far ahead, brother.
Plus, and Steve, you attest to this. It's also about being diverse, right? I bet on sports. Bitcoin goes up.
Yep.
Platinum goes down. Bitcoin goes down. Platinum goes up. Plus, I have real estate and I have stocks, et cetera, et cetera. It's very important to not put all your eggs in one basket. Damn.
Before I go, check out. I don't get anything from it. Again, it's a company. Check out Masterworks, Prez, if you get a chance. Just check that company out. It's art.
That's the art company, right?
The art company.
That's that art company.
Art. Sometimes they hold art for 3-5 years before they sell it. People that bought shares can't hold on anymore. So there's a secondary market that they sell those shares at a discount. So if you got cash, you could buy people's shares that have already appreciated 20, 30% at a 20, 30% discount. So you're already buying it with a profit of 20, 30% in a lot of cases, a built-in profit. Art is a very lucrative investment. You want to, diversify small, but check it out. Masterworks. And if you need anything,
sellers.
I did a lot of research. I've invested 6 figures in art, and it's one of the best things I ever did, Prez. And I did a lot of research. I know exactly but which artists I want to focus in on. I don't know anything about art, but it comes down to the artist. That's all that matters.
I'm going to look into that too. I actually, on my ski trip, I met a guy who runs a fund, and they only buy secondary stock. He just had an opportunity to buy Tesla, a whole ton at 80 cents on the dollar. I think 77 cents on the dollar.
You're going to own a bunch of Basquiat's, a bunch of, I'm telling you, if you go and you see what's available with the cash you have, you're going to just love it. I promise you, Prez. Check it out. Take your time. Play with the site. You're going to get it. You're going to enjoy it. You're going to enjoy it.
I don't want this convo to end. Damn it. What do you got to promote, bro?
Love you guys. Make sure you check out the Steam Room today. That's where everything's going to be. Again, had a tough week, still up in 2024. That's what matters the most. And my only goal is that when December 31st rolls around, I can say we're in that 0.5% that actually turned a profit. If our goals are aligned, I will not disappoint you. If they're not, and you need to win tonight, this week, or this month to pay your mortgage or take your girl out for Valentine's Day, I'm not your guy. But if you have that patience and want to win long term and be like Prez and have money, then I'm your guy.
There we go. Gianni the Greek. Boss 429 writes, 243 viewers are getting a top-notch economic lesson, and there's only 60 likes. I can't help the likes, but I do have a great hockey bet for you guys if we can get to 100. Steve, look, I don't care about time. We'll go to 12:55. Jesus, and you are the right co-host for this segment because
I was about to type to you and Dan, like Teddy would be going insane right now.
Well, the thing is, people don't know this, and you and I talk about this all the time. You are an incredibly savvy investor. I mean, you study this stuff as much as you study sports. This is not your first rodeo in this type of a conversation.
Right. Exactly right. And more so than ever now, in my handicapping, the results have been as good, if not better, than they've ever been. And like I said earlier, you and I both, we watch less games than we've ever watched in our 25 to 30-year career. And the results are as good, if not better. It's another analogy I'll use, taking the forest from the trees perspective, right? Living and dying by every play of a game or every tick of a stock is the trees versus the forest. And recapping the games after they're played. You can watch an entire game within 3 minutes afterwards. And you already know the result. There's no emotional bias at that point. And you can actually be honest with yourself. Did you handicap it right? Did you miss something? Was it a good beat, a bad beat? Was it just a random result? No. That's very important. And when you're watching a game, it doesn't do anything for you. Plus, 362 Division I basketball teams. You can watch as many games as you want. You cannot watch every team play every night. It's mathematically impossible. So you've got to have another strategy, correct?
Yeah, we got to move on, bro. We got to get to your big game breakdown. And, of course, Andrew McInnis is up next. So the mic's
I'll tell you what,
yours.
Prez, since we're tight on time, I'm going to do this, something Teddy would never do. I'm going to defer my big game breakdown because I'm doing a standalone solo video for this weekend for the NBA Slam Dunk Contest. I was going to clip this, but I'd rather go a deep dive. And I do think there's a betting edge in the NBA Slam Dunk. I'm going to give you where the sharp money is, something Gianni would have loved to talk about. Sharp books have a higher price on somebody than the square books. That's a real fade the public type indicator for the Slam Dunk Contest. So check out WagerTalk TV later tonight on Friday. I will have that Slam Dunk video for Saturday available. Also, my college basketball Saturday Top 25 video will be available tonight on Friday as well. So click subscribe and hit that bell for instant alerts. I'll also be hosting the college basketball show today at 2 o'clock Eastern. Back to you, Prez.
Yeah, Boss429 writes, we need a series of episodes specifically involving the subject matter. Boss, it's hard, man. Firstly, neither Steve and I are licensed to even discuss this stuff from a buy this, buy that perspective.
Yeah. Once again, these are our recommendations only. You make your own choice. We need to get that disclaimer.
It's tough, man. You're allowed to give out sports betting advice without being certified, but I don't know. I mean, I'll tell you, I would love to do a weekly segment. Me, Steve, Gianni, what stocks we're buying, what metals we're buying, what crypto we're buying. I mean, all three of us are buying regularly. Steve trades on is it a daily or weekly basis?
Yeah, I use daily charts. So yeah, it's right. Once a day. Here again, that's a lifestyle, but Prez, real quick, that's a lifestyle choice, right? I've played around with this for 20 some years. I don't want to be in front of my monitor at 9:30 in the morning, 3:55 p.m. I don't want to have that lifestyle on the close, man. You can even do weeklies. In fact, I'm moving more towards weeklies. Put them in Sunday night, Saturday, whenever you have time over the weekend, because it closes Friday, opens Monday, commodities open Sunday night. Once again, lifestyle choice is very important in whether it's financial markets or sports betting market. And I think you and I have done a better job of that, if I do say, than most other people in this industry.
That's for sure. Andrew McInnis joining us, everyone. And Andrew, you're a young buck about to tackle marriage and children. Did you enjoy that conversation?
I really did. I enjoyed listening, and I feel like the problem with my generation, guys, and I have no problem saying this, is that there's too many people my age that act like they know everything, right? They're in a room, they hear someone talking about something, and they want to feel like they know it all. I love listening to you guys. I love listening to Gianni. I love that I get emails from Dave Koken about his plays and explaining why he likes his plays. If you're not learning from people that have been doing something longer than you or in the same industry or even something you don't know, it's just, you're just losing. So, look, I'm blessed and privileged to be in the position. I'm so happy to be with WagerTalk, but I love learning from you guys all the time.
Prez, real quick, I want to say that's because Andrew is a confident person, and he doesn't think he knows everything. And usually the people that aren't confident are the ones that have to act like they know everything. So it's an excellent point. And don't be afraid to ask questions and just assume you don't know something. That's a great way to go through life. And that's why Andrew's successful, will continue to be successful as he gets older like us.
Thanks,
Andrew,
Steve.
let's get into it, dude. Jeff Neal versus Ian Gary over 2.5 rounds. This is a fight. Tell us why.
So, guys, Ian Gary, okay, so a lot of people think he's kind of like a wannabe Conor McGregor. He's got the accent. He's kind of got that swagger to him. He's always running his mouth, always talking smack. But his smack talk isn't always backed up by knockouts, right? So early on, Cage Warriors, early on in his career, he was knocking guys out left and right, having these powerful punches that were ending the fights early. But looking at him lately, he's been more of a strategic fighter. 3 of his last 5 fights have gone over this 2.5 number. And one of those fights that didn't, well, the fight ended in the last minute. So, they've pretty much all been going the distance. He's coming off a fight where it was against Magny, and he just couldn't finish him. He was dominating the entire fight, got him on the ground, got him in great positions, pulled guard on him, and just could not stop the fight. And we're getting a guy now in Jeff Neal that's been knocked out once in his entire career. And looking at his last fight against Shavkat Ramanov, He did get submitted, but I don't believe Ian Gary is someone that will look for the submission. He'll be using kind of his hands for the most part here. So looking at this fight in general, even though it's so hyped up, there's been a lot of, smack talk between the two, talking about ending the fight early. When it comes down to it, this is a guy that wants to build up his run, wants to get in on a really good note, kind of work his way up the ladder here. He's not finishing fights right now. Even though he always says he's going to, he's someone that really is just being tactical, getting in, getting out, building up those points, and winning by decision. So you got a guy that's never really knocked out against an up-and-coming guy, a young guy that knows how to fight the right way tactically. I would even look at Ian Gary to win via decision. But to me, the best bet to make in this fight is the over 2.5 rounds.
Andrew McInnis talking a little UFC, and now we're going to talk hockey because he is a Canadian. By birth, he must handicap hockey. It's the law. Andrew, the NHL missing a real opportunity tonight. I mean, there's no NBA on a Friday night where there's usually like 10, 12 games. We do have 15 college basketball games, a little bit larger than normal. I'm shocked there's one NHL game tonight. I mean, what are they thinking? They obviously got their wires crossed. Explain maybe why, and then more importantly, give us some value in that one game tonight between, who is it, the Hurricane and the Coyotes. Hurricanes and Coyotes.
Yeah, Steve, you know how in baseball, like people say Monday is kind of the weird day to bet, getaway day, right? So I'd say Friday is kind of like that weird day in the NHL because Saturday is such a huge day. There's so many teams playing. Most teams are involved on Saturdays. Games start at 1 p.m. Eastern in the afternoon. I mean, there is so many games going on that Friday's always that weird day. People call it Freaky Friday. And Arizona going head-to-head against Carolina here. 7 straight losses for the Arizona Coyotes. They were in a brink of a playoff spot at one point. They were in a playoff spot at one point, and they've really fallen off. And a lot of that's gone to their defense. But here's the deal. When you've relied so heavily on goaltending for so long, you want to talk about regression. That's pretty much what's happened with this Arizona team. They allow so many shots on goal every single game, so many dangerous chances, and their goaltender, Connor Ingram, was saving them. He was top 3 in goals saved above average pretty much for the entire season. And that started to fall off, and now he's not playing every game. In fact, he's not playing tonight. Vejmelka is playing tonight, and he is just someone that I think is completely different than Connor Ingram. He's someone you want to bet against. And we've got Carolina right now that, although they've had some games go under recently, when they play a Western Conference opponent, especially a weak Western Conference opponent, we're seeing a lot of high-scoring games. And this is something I've been noticing a lot. When East versus West teams play each other, there aren't really those rivalries, right? I mean, you see whether it's Metropolitan Division, whether it's Pacific Division, Atlantic Division, when you got teams that are in their division, it seems a lot tighter and more defensive. But when you have teams out of conference, we're seeing 8 of the last 12 games out of their own conference for Carolina have gone over. 4 of the last 5 for Arizona have gone over. And I know Marco mentions these sometimes. Some people might find these kind of useless. But hey, 6 of the last 8 games played on a Friday for Arizona have gone over, guys. I'm going to take the over 6 in this one.
Useless nonsense. The hell is that? I love that. At 7 p.m. on Thursdays, the Leafs have never lost if playing at home on one leg.
I used to think that way. I disagree. I used to think that way. I think it matters a little bit.
Steve, let's talk basketball. Does it matter?
I will say this, with the days of the week, I don't think there's very few angles I've ever used, but with hockey, that's interesting. I'm glad I asked you why, Andrew. I don't follow hockey close like I used to when I was a Washington Capitals fan decades ago. But, you can make an argument that Fridays are obviously a different beast, so maybe some angles would make more sense on a Friday. And I'll ask you real quick, do they play back-to-backs in hockey? I mean, that's how little I follow the NHL. Is it like the NBA? Do they play back-to-backs? Because obviously that's why no one's playing tonight, I guess.
They do. The thing is, there's been a lot of different schedules, especially with the All-Star break just being like a week and a half ago. There are back-to-backs, and it's actually a good angle to look at, Steve. Some teams are great second half of back-to-back. Some teams are abysmal, so I definitely do keep an eye on it. But, Prez, look at the Maple Leafs, man. You're close to them. You have a lot of success betting on them. How different is that team on a Tuesday night, middle of the winter, versus Saturday night hockey night in Canada? You can't tell me they don't get up for those games on Saturday more than Tuesday nights. I mean, those are the games they lose
Fair
Tuesday
enough.
against a bad team, right?
Fair enough.
It's a good take.
Fair enough, Andrew. So I think, Andrew, your takeaway on today's show is get your hands on some platinum, some gold, some silver. And the best way to do this, Andrew, and I'm not kidding around. The best way when you don't have a lot of money to start off with, and I'm not suggesting you don't, but look, let's say at the bottom line, most people are not sitting around with $100,000 free to go buy stock. Slowly, just do it slowly. I tell my kids every week, buy $20 of something, $20 every week, just nice and slow. Pick something. For me, I've been very focused on platinum, but gold is going to have a run in the next little while. Bitcoin over the long haul is a great investment. Take $20
I have a question,
every
Prez.
week, buy something. Yes.
So you guys both preach diversification. And I love when Steve says that when someone comes on the show and talks about a play that he doesn't handicap, right? So for someone my age, like my current goal with my girlfriend, who you've met, Prez, we're trying to buy a house, right? And we're working towards that goal. I'm currently, rent a nice townhouse and stuff, but I want to get out of that
I would
and
not buy
own
a
my own.
house.
So, okay.
Never in a million years would I buy a house. Buying a house is
I'm not in a hurry. I'm not in a hurry, but
You're
let
talking
me
about
ask my
saving
question,
money,
though.
right, Andrew? You're talking about saving
my whole
money,
question
though?
was going to be, my question was going to be, when you guys talk about diversifying, is that diversifying like more so for you guys, or would you say somebody my age, how many different things should I be investing in? You know what I mean? Like
You want as
whether
many
it's
non-correlated assets as possible. People, what gets me is pretty much everybody is buying hope, which is the stock market. They have 20 different stocks and they think they're diversified. They're still 90% correlated. When the market goes down like it did for COVID, they're all going down. And there's databases you can look on free on the internet. They're ETF tickers. They show you how much correlated one ETF is to the other. And you can put it, by the way, there is a platinum ETF, PPLT. It's another way, a low cost entry way to start holding some platinum. It is an ETF, but you can see how it's not correlated to like the S&P, for example, or bonds, TLT, the 20-year bond. So it's like that's the kind of stuff you want if you're buying 5 or 6 things. But real quick, Prez, I love the dollar cost averaging aspect that you're talking about. Just take 5 or 10% of your paycheck every week and put it in something, even if it's savings. And by the way, my number one trade for the week, my big game breakdown, cash, 5%, no risk. I think it's the best investment out there right now. If they're going to continue to pay me 5% when rates were 0 a couple years ago, with all the uncertainty in the stock market, the overpriced of the stock market right now, the overpriced of Bitcoin, perhaps.
But dude, it's
5%
not even
cash,
that.
baby.
It's not even the 5% cash. It's the liquidity that you're going to have.
Exactly right.
When the market,
and then when you see something like boom,
right. But Andrew, a conversation for another day. But do not buy a house, guys. We're gonna have a real quick and a daily presidential address, and then that's the show. Thank you. Oh, sorry, quick. Andrew.
What do you got going on, Andrew, at WagerTalk.com?
Just really quick, guys. I don't do a lot of UFC, very low volume with it. Just gave you a play I like. That is a free play, also a client play, but I do have a big 4% play going tomorrow, almost a 5% play for me, but really, really do like this one. Please, guys, join me over at WagerTalk.com, UFC 4% best bet, and I'll have some early action NHL as well. Thanks a lot, guys.
God, Steve, I want to keep going. One of these guys is like, you for sure should buy a house. Oh my God. Buying a house is giving money away.
I've got a different take. We're going to do a podcast, man. I've got that in the works. It's on my list, buddy. You're one of my first guests.
Dude, let's do buy or sell a house, a podcast next week. Dan, daily presidential address.
By the way, viewers, comment below. Let us know your thoughts.
Yeah. Okay, guys, time for your daily presidential address. Long story short, I like Carolina in regulation minus 125. And I understand that is a complete square bet, but Arizona just can't stop anybody. They've allowed 3, 5, 5, 3, 3, 6, and 6 goals in their last 7 games. Carolina is on fire over the last 7, 5 of their last 7, and they're coming off of a loss. which is why I really like that play. So please, Carolina minus 125. That's the show. What a pleasure. Thank you, everyone, and we'll see you all next week.